Hey everybody, it's Kevin Hogan with Gold Trails, and today I want to talk about metal detecting fatigue. Not being tired at the end of the day, I'm talking about fatigue when your shoulder starts to hurt, your arm starts to hurt, your back starts to hurt, and three very essential products that I think everybody should have no matter what size their detector is. I use these three items now on every machine that I've got, from my lightest weight machines like my XP Oryx Gold to my Gold Monster 1000, my Garrett White's 24K, all the way up to my SDC 2300, my GPX 6000, and my GPZ 7000. These are important because fatigue will cause you to fail. I know that sounds like a pretty brash statement, but it's so very, very true. If you're out there and you're starting to get fatigued, you end up making mistakes. You'll swing your coil too fast. You'll make dips and swings at the end of it, or you'll just do this. You'll go out and you'll go walking your detector and you're missing huge amounts of areas. So let's talk about three things that I have adopted. One of them just recently because, well, I'll get to that in a moment. The first one is the swingy thing. And I was one of the first adopters to this swingy thingy. Now, this is the third or fourth iteration. This is now called the ultra swingy thingy. And I'll tell you, this thing is one of the best tools that I've ever had for being out prospecting, next to a metal detector and a good digging tool. It's a 3-point system that allows you to be able to hook a bungee system to it. Now, Doc created the first bungee system that I remember ever seeing. They were good back then, but man, I'll tell you what, they've done nothing but get better and better and better. So the whole idea behind this, I'm going to take the bungee system, I'm going to hook it to my ultra swingy thingy, and now what I have is a huge amount of control of my detector. And again, I don't care what detector it is. Look, tell you what, you go out with a Gold Monster 1000, even with the little tiny coil on it, and after 5 or 6 hours, it's like swinging a brick on a stick. And then machines like these bigger machines, it doesn't take 5 hours. It happens pretty quick. But the most important thing for me here is, aside from this relieving my fatigue, because now I have no real pressure on me. I've got a little bit of pressure on my shoulder, so I'll make an adjustment over here, pull that across, and now I've distributed the weight all the way across my shoulders and down my back. And if I need to make an adjustment back here to where I pull it off my neck a little bit, I can make that back adjustment there. So now I've got this thing in perfect adjustment. I've got complete and total control of my detector. And if you see, I can control my detector, keeping it on the ground with one finger. Now let's talk about this Quipple for a second. I don't know where Doc comes up with his names. I'm afraid to ask him. I really don't want to ask him because I don't know if I want to hear the whole story. The Quipple, when he designed this, and Doc's done, like I said, he's done a lot of different bungee systems over the years, but this is by far the very best thing that I've ever seen. I'll make a rough adjustment right here. I'll get it down to about where I want it, and then I'll lock that in. And then I can make fine adjustments up here by getting it right down on the ground, locking that in. And man, I'll tell you what, at this point, again, no stress on my body, no stress on my upper body, no stress on my arm, my shoulder, anything. And I have complete total control, and I can swing this across and keep it on the ground where it has to be for complete and total coil control. And I will link a video down below about coil control, and you'll see how 1 inch off the ground can cause just about any detector to miss a target. So that's that part of the Quipple. Now, one of the things, and the one question I really want to ask Doc someday is, what did it cost to do this? This is not a standard bungee system. It's not a standard bungee cord, because Doc realized that we need less resistance pushing down to where we can keep that coil on the ground without having it trying to come back. Just another thing that you do. So when he designed this, and he worked with a company to specially build a bungee system for him, the whole idea behind this bungee is that it has so much less resistance pushing it down and getting it on the ground and keeping it on the ground, but when you let go, it's still going to come up. So I generally run right about there to where I'm really not forcing it. Right now it's on the ground, and I've got it this way. And depending upon what detector I'm using, sometimes if I'm using my really big machines, like my Z7000, I'll take this clip in front of, put it from here over to this side on the swingy thingy, and that gives me that cross action on it that actually helps me move the machine side by side. Now, one of the things we always talk about is where a lot of fatigue comes from is if you're out here swinging your detector with your arm. Get away from that. Learn to swing your detector with your hip. And that makes this even more important because if I'm swinging at my hip, I'm not going to hurt my shoulders. I'm not going to wear things out as quickly as possible, and I will have a lot more control. All right, so there's two of the items. And a hint about don't get out there and do this. Do it with your hip. Do it with your hip. I've got an arm injury that I've had for years and years and years, and quite frankly, if it wasn't for the swinging thingy and the bungee systems, I probably would not be out here detecting the way that I do these days because this shoulder got completely torn up years and years and years ago. And these are some of the products. These two products are the ones that I bought to stay in the game. And Doc, if you watch this, thank you so very, very much because you know how much I love metal detecting. You know how much I love sharing metal detecting with other people. And really, if it hadn't been for these two products, I wouldn't be out here the way that I am. I've been out here now for about 6 or 7 hours, and I'm not hurting. I'm tired, but I'm not fatigued. Big difference. So those are two of the products. Now, the last one that he just came up with is called the Saga. People have asked me what I think about swing arms in the past, and I don't like them. I do not like swing arms. This is not a swing arm. This is the Saga guide arm. And this is a huge difference because, look, back in the day when every company started making these swing arms, they only worked on this particular plane. The problem was that the moment you went up or you went down, you broke it. You just snapped it off. You snapped the rubber off, it would break off. So never been a fan until the Saga because the Saga is not just this horizontal plane. I've got 360 degrees that I can turn with this. And that makes a huge difference. Being able to have complete and total control of your detector. And I can go vertical if I need to. I can go vertical downward. I can get on the horizontal plane. I can do anything and everything that I want. And look, I'm running this detector with the palm of one hand and just a finger of the other hand. And I'm keeping that coil on the ground. I'm maintaining a perfect coil speed for this particular area. I'm overlapping, and I can do that all day long. All day long. This guide arm has actually given me another hour and a half to 2 hours out in the field over what I've already been able to gain. Because when I go out for the day. I'm not going to go out just for a couple of hours. That's the middle of the summertime. But I'm going to go out there for the entire day, and having something like this makes a world of difference. Now, I also spend a lot of time hunting sidewalls and washes and things like that because quite frankly, I found a lot of big gold that'll never make it to the wash, but it gets trapped up in the sidewall. And in the old days when we really didn't have anything, really it just seemed like hunting in a mine shaft. You're kind of short shafting your detector, or if you want to get in an area where there's a tree, you're having to do all these things. And now look at this, I'm putting a huge amount of stress. I feel this in my shoulder and I feel this in my forearm and everything else. And quite frankly, I've had Popeye forearms before. I don't really want them again. But you're hunting these sidewalls like this, or if you're hunting flat up and you're hunting a sidewall, the wall is like this in front of me. I'm hunting like this, but I'm not balanced out properly. I'm really not balanced out. So if I come back, I start to end up bending my back because I'm standing on a sidewall. I'm trying to stand like this on something like this. Now I don't have to worry about it. If I'm going up a sidewall and I'm hunting an area, I'm going to go up sideways. I'm going to just short step. So this leg is up higher. I'm planted firmly, and all I'm doing is this right there. Now, as you see, one finger, palm of my hand. I'm not really gripping this, but this gives me the ability. And if I have to duck down just a little bit to get up underneath a tree, I'm not getting into these awkward positions. I always tell people, never put your coil where you're not willing to swing. And I'll tell you, there's been times where I would not hunt a sidewall because it's just the way that the rocks were or the trees or any of the vegetation was, where I would have to be in some awkward, weird angle to be able to keep my balance and be able to do everything else. And at that point, I'm putting stress on my knees, I'm putting stress on my back, my lower back, my upper back, my shoulders, everything. Not anymore. Seriously, that's it. And I'm hunting a sidewall. Now, I mentioned hunting in mine shafts. I've got a couple of hard rock mines. And in the past, if we were going to work in a mine shaft, it's all about short shafting your detector and holding it out like this and then, you know, doing these things, and you've got this weight back here, all these other things may sound insignificant. But when you're doing it all day long, it's going to get to you. Now, go straight to the vertical. Go straight to the vertical. And again, look, one finger, palm open, and I'm hunting that vertical. Now, this is the coolest thing that I love about the Saga, because it is a guide arm. It's not a swing arm. I want to hunt the roof of my mind. I'm sitting there looking at the material, and I'm thinking, you know what? I think that vein went all the way up. I'm just going to flip my cord over, flip it up like that, go straight to the roof, position my Saga, and again, now I'm hunting flat up above me, one finger. This is sitting, it's not even sitting in the crux, it's on my arm, but I've got complete and total control, completely inverted. Drop it back down, come across, readjust the Saga. Now I'm back to the floor of the mine. Or I want to go up the sidewalls. Okay, that's fine. If I'm going to go up this sidewall and I'm right-handed, no big deal. I just make that reverse. That's it. That's all I have to do. So this is not a right-handed thing or a left-handed thing. It's an everything. Overhead, right-handed sidewall, floor, left-handed sidewall. I'm doing everything. There is no right and left hand on this thing. So these are 3 items that I absolutely suggest everybody have. I was out doing a training class, and in that class I had the opportunity to go out and hunt for a little bit. So I started putting on my gear, and this guy's like, what's all that stuff? And I started showing it to him, and he says, I get that, you're an old guy. And I just kind of laughed because, well, you know, first thing I wanted to do was hit him upside the head with my coil. And then after that, I just looked at him and said, you know, I'm out here in my 60s now because of these things. So 3 items I suggest everybody has. And again, DocsDetector.com, you can order everything from there, or any of Doc's dealers.